All right, so let's see. This is episode number 6, and it's going to be quite a bit different here. Not in the studio, so different location. No Hudson, obviously, so that be a little bit different, not being able to play off of him, have him ask questions and such. But I guess we'll have that interview with him, or several interviews, so we'll have to figure out how to put that together. Demand, I think we'll probably be having to do quite a bit more work, post stuff, but it is what it is. I guess, let's see, some things will be the same. I'll be here, I'll be sharing my Todd's tips about being an expert and all the ins and outs of that, and let's see, if we can get things working, I'll share my numbers. Hudson won't have any numbers, obviously, but we can get John maybe on a Zoom call, and we can get VO Marketing Pro's numbers, and maybe talk a little bit about some other things happening with VO Marketing Pro. So we'll just do the best we can without our son co-host and our executive producer, Hudson. So I guess let's get started.
Hey, this is Bill DeWees, pro voiceover talent and voiceover career coach. And this is the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast.
Hey, glad you've joined me for the original Father-Son Voiceover Podcast. I'm Todd, and we're going to be hearing from Hudson coming up soon as he kind of provides us a little bit of a travel log of his trip to Zion National Park this past week. But before we get into those, I'll call them mini interviews with Hudson, I just want to return to a subject that I started last week, and it's the subject of what it means to be an expert in VO and how that can help us in our self-evaluation as well as vetting the many, many VO coaches and gurus who clamor for our attention and our money on a regular basis. So we're going to get to that sheet that I had last week. Maybe some of you remember that. If not, then you'll be introduced to it in just a few moments. But Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines an expert in the following way. Here it is. An expert is one with the special skill or knowledge representing mastery of a particular subject. Let me say that again. One with the special skill or knowledge representing mastery, and I'm focusing on that, mastery of a particular subject. To me, it's good to take some time to think about that before I go around telling someone, hey, I'm an expert in anything, or quickly jumping headlong into someone's coaching curriculum when they call themselves an expert. To me, that's a pretty big claim to say, hey, I'm an expert in something. Now, obviously, there are experts in VO, men and women who have mastered a certain part of the VO industry, maybe even multiple parts. Or maybe they've just been in the VO industry so long that they've a mastery of quite a few parts of being a VO person, a business person, VO talent, VO actor. And so they are an expert. Whether that's just slowly but surely becoming an expert via day in and day out work and or getting training and putting that into practice in areas that you aren't proficient in, and you just get better and better as you go. So maybe there are a few people out there that truly could be called an expert in all things VO. I think it's important, though, as we kind of lay the foundation again for talking about being an expert, that we're humble in our thinking about whether I am an expert or not. To quickly say that I'm an expert with little proof over an extended period of time, I think is prideful. Yet to be self-deprecating and false humility and say that you're not good at anything, I think is pride as well. Humility, as we talked about last week, is simply a proper estimation of yourself. So knowing your strengths and weaknesses, knowing where you need help, knowing where you can help. But be aware and pay close attention to coaches and gurus who claim to be an expert. That's one of the things I want us to learn to evaluate because they're out there. And some are great, some are experts, especially in a few areas, and some are not. They're kind of a dime a dozen. Now, I know quite a few people who do claim to be VO experts, and there are very few who can make that general claim. Some, who I know, are experts in an area or two of VO. Very few, though, as I said before, can call themselves experts in all things VO. So be careful. If you just need to slow down and listen carefully and evaluate to what they're saying and what they're claiming, and usually you can kind of tell who truly is an expert and who is not. And that's one of the reasons, and I won't go off on this again, but that's one of the reasons that if I'm looking for a coach, I'm going to ask them, are you in the industry right now? And I want to know exactly what you made from VO last year. Not from coaching, but from VO. What did you make in VO last year? That's what I want to know. So last week I shared this simple, kind of crude graph that I base my self-evaluation on, and as well as vet VO coaches. And Demond, he can flash that information up so that you can view it from time to time. Last week I talked about, and I'm going to use my cheat sheet here so you'll see that on your screen, and I'll be referencing it here. Last week I talked about VO legal and taxes, in which I think I'm close to a know-nothing. And then I also talked about VO collection, in other words, getting paid for our voiceover work, and then VO editing and quality assurance, in which I think that our team is quite competent. In fact, I think, honestly, we could probably label ourselves as experts and teach others in that area. I think that we have mastered that. By the way, if you want to see what I said last week about the VO legal and taxes, as well as the VO collection and VO editing QA, then you can see that. But let's move on to that sheet. And Demond, make sure you put that up here so people can see that. Again, at the top, you can see expert. Over there to the left, top side, down to the bottom is kind of being a know-nothing. And I don't mean that in a mean way. It's just that you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the proficiency, the competency, and especially you're not an expert. You haven't mastered it. And so down at the bottom, the VO legal and taxes, I say I'm basically a know-nothing. I know who to call, which is good, and I know how to get help, which is good. But beyond that, I don't know that much. And then VO collection at the top there, close to being an expert. Maybe we could call ourselves experts. Maybe we could give us that title as far as VO collection and VO editing. Let's talk about the next two or three here. So down at the bottom, you can see there across from 2 is VO technical and equipment. Now, I'm somewhat proficient in at least running my own equipment. But as far as giving people advice on an interface and microphones and all the different ins and outs of setting up a studio, I know what I did, and I could tell people what I did and give them people to call who I think are experts. One we had on last week, DeWees. I could have you call him, and he could help you with audio processing. And his dad, Bill DeWees, is an expert in a lot of things, VO. And we could send you to him, and we do, because they're a sponsor of our Father-Son podcast. And so links are in our description all of the time. So, but as far as me, I'm just more of a person that's saying, hey, I need help. I can do it myself. I kind of know what I like. I kind of know what I want to hear. But you're going to have to call somebody else if you want them to actually set things up for you in your studio and give you equipment and technical information. That's why I put myself way down on the bottom, because I'm not pretending to be something I'm not. I just kind of know who to call, and I know that I need help. On the other side of things, you can see they're up around 8 or so. VO business mindset and being client-centric. I think that those are things that I'm at least getting closer to being an expert in. I've been running a VO business for over 12 years. It continues to grow. I think that I know how to run a VO business and how to especially keep my mind strong and focused on, the critically important short-term and long-term goals in starting and growing a voiceover business, and being client-centric in all of the ins and outs of that, which we can talk about that in a separate video, what it means to be client-centric. We can talk about that. But I think in those two areas, I think I can really help people. And if I was to go into coaching, which I am not, at least as a paid coach at this point, I haven't charged anything for coaching, I think that's where my strong points would lie. And that's one of the reasons why I like to be on here and talk to you, because I'm evaluating myself in front of you and hopefully helping you evaluate me maybe as a future coach or as someone that you should listen to, whether it's free or charged advice, and maybe other VO coaches. So I think I'm pretty good as far as my knowledge and information. I think I'm learning to master VO business mindset and client centrism. So let's just talk about the two more, and then we'll save two more for a couple more for next week. Let's go back down here where I'm closer to a know-nothing. And again, I'm just evaluating myself. As far as VO audio engineering and processing, I kind of handled that with the VO technical and equipment. The VO technical and equipment is a little bit more the hardware, where this is more just the audio, the VO audio engineering and processing. Again, I go to Alex DeWees because he's helped me, he's helped Hudson, he's helped my mobile rig, and we're just very pleased with him. So check out his link below. And he is an expert. He's gone to college for that, done it for many years, and so he continues to help people. I'm not an expert. Go to him as far as audio engineering and processing. Again, like I said last week on the podcast, I know what I like. I know what I want to hear. I know what it should sound like. But getting it there, I think that's what makes the difference between me being an expert and just being a person that needs help in the audio engineering and processing department. And then finally, let's look there at the top around the 7-ish mark of being close to being an expert. I just put down VO direct email marketing. Now, you might say, what? I mean, you've been doing direct email marketing for 12 years, and most of the time, each year, you're making anywhere from $150,000 to $200,000 a year in direct email marketing. And that might be true, and you might also say that I started or helped start VO Marketing Pro with my 6 adult sons. That said, I just think to call myself an expert in that is maybe going just a bit too far, because I think there's more, scientific things that I could continue to do better in and continue to practice things and continue to be more consistent. And I don't think I'm being hard on myself or wrongly, putting myself down, self-deprecating. I just think, again, to call myself an expert in VO direct email marketing, I just want to be careful with that. Again, if you want more information about direct email marketing, I think I can teach you things, and I think my sons can teach you things about that. But again, we're looking at it as compared to a know-nothing and an expert. And I think, as humbly as I can be and seeing myself, I think I'm on the upper end of that as far as understanding direct email marketing, and at least in the voiceover side of things. So I would put myself up there as somebody that could give advice and help people out, which we do. And that's what VO Marketing Pro does. And people are successful using our advice. So that's another criteria for you to use to call yourself an expert. If not only you're doing it, but when people put your stuff into practice alongside of you doing it, then that kind of puts you up there, at least toward being an expert. So next week, we'll talk about VO health, VO performance and acting, demo production, social media, being on platforms, things like that. And we can talk more about how to evaluate that, and I will evaluate myself in front of you next week when Hudson is back for episode 7 of the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast. So we'll continue that subject next week, but I'm going to leave it there for now. So coming up next is our interviews with Hudson as he travels to, through, and then home again from his great adventure out west. And so join us for more of that here on the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast.
To just take a moment before we get back to the podcast to talk about our sponsor and friend, Bill DeWees. Dad, do you mind taking a moment just to talk about what Bill has meant to your business, my business, and kind of the voiceover world?
Not at all, and I could talk for a long time about Bill, but just let me tell you that he is a voiceover talent. He's been a voiceover talent for over 15 years. He's a VO coach, done that for over a decade, and he just recently was voted the #1 trusted voiceover coach from voices.com, and so that's quite an honor. I started following Bill, 11 years ago, and so many important business principles I found in his teaching, in his YouTube channel. And so to me, he's helped me build a multiple six-figure business and, set the stage for me to have the opportunity to help you in your business. So that's a little bit about Bill from my perspective.
Yeah, and one way that we think that Bill's services can help you out is if you're somebody like me. If you're new to voiceover, you don't have what I have at home, which is my dad, someone who's gone through 12 years of VO experience, built a big business. And so if you're somebody like that and you need that positive reinforcement, I understand that because I sometimes need that. And I even have a great resource right here. But if you don't have that, going to Bill DeWees Media, looking at his coaching, his voiceover blueprint. He's the type of guy you want to have on your team, a friend, a coach, stuff like that. So if those things interest you and you think you need some help, we'll drop some links below to his blueprint, his website, and his coaching so that you can use his services.
Yeah, and we'll have a referral link there so that Bill knows where you're coming from. You're coming from the Father-Son podcast.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So without further ado, we'll get you right back to the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast.
Welcome back to the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast. As we've been saying all along in this podcast, I'm doing it kind of solo here. Hudson all week long has been traveling, camping, hiking in Zion National Park, the state national park. And it's located, if you're not familiar, it's located in the southwestern portion of the state of Utah. And so he left Mazomanie, which is our hometown, went up to grab a friend of his that he worked with in the wellness center up in Baraboo, and then drove up to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then flew out to Las Vegas, and then drove 2 hours up to Zion National Park. And so he's been enjoying his time there and sending us back beautiful videos and beautiful pictures. And so what we've done is we've just kind of created a few little mini interviews. And so we're just going to go ahead and play those, and hopefully they'll be all self-explanatory, and you'll get a little bit of a taste of what he's been doing this last week. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about some other fun things, maybe even some voiceover things along the way. So enjoy our little mini interviews with Hudson as he is in Zion National Park in Utah. How we doing?
Good. How are you? Is this better?
Yeah, that's
A lot
great.
better?
Yeah. So we're
Lot
kind
better.
of having a special edition of the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast, Zion National Park edition.
Correct. Yes, I just flew into where am I at? I'm in Las Vegas. So
Las Vegas, Nevada.
Nevada. Get out of from Minneapolis. So I drove 3 hours last night to a hotel. We spent the night, got to bed at about midnight, and got up at 4:30 to get shuttled over, and then we waited for a couple hours. TSA was real quick and smooth. That was nice. We got in the plane. It was about 3.5 hours. We gained 2 hours, which was nice. So we got here at about 8:36. It's 10:15 now. So we've been trying to get everything around, and it's been a little hectic. It's a little bit more uptown for me. So got to get used to all of the people, and just so busy. So a lot of information at once.
So you went from Mazomanie. Okay,
yeah.
we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. Yes,
very important.
That might be the most important thing. Yeah.
So you went from Mazomanie, Wisconsin, which is 20 miles west of Madison. Mazomanie, 1,600
Correct.
people, to Baraboo. You're kind of working your way up the food chain to Baraboo, Wisconsin, which is about 30 minutes north, and
35 minutes. Yeah.
How big is Baraboo?
Oh boy, I don't know. I know West Baraboo has close to 1,600 people, but that's just West Baraboo. That's not the whole place.
So a few thousand, and then you picked up a buddy there, a former person that you used to work with, and then you drove to Minneapolis, huge city, the Twin Cities, and now you're in Las Vegas, and then it's going to just totally reverse, and you're going to go to Zion National Park, right? And it'll be
correct. Yes,
you'll just have a small group of people camping.
Hopefully, hopefully it'll just be, there won't be a whole lot of people. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people at the park, because it's a pretty big attraction. But we'll have our own campsite, so hopefully, I don't know how close it'll be to other people, but hopefully it's nice and secluded.
And the temperature here is like 50 degrees and rainy, and you left that yesterday. It was kind of the same. What is it there in Las Vegas? What's the temperature?
Almost 70 degrees. It's a little breezy, but it's sunny skies, bluebird skies, just nice. So
and what's the temperature supposed to be in the park?
It's supposed to be 79 at the hottest today, and then like tomorrow and Wednesday are supposed to be more into like the 80s and stuff like that. So that'll be nice. T-shirt and shorts, and hopefully I don't get too burnt. So I'm a little pasty white right now.
Yeah. And do you know what the plans are? You're going to be hiking, of course, but anything else, or is that just kind of generally just hanging out, enjoying the beautiful scenery, and touching base with us from time to time here at the Father-Son Voiceover podcast? Yeah,
home base. Well, right now we're getting our rental car. Dimitri is in there doing that right now. So he's going to grab that. And then we're going to hopefully get on our way towards Zion, and then we're going to pick up some sandwich meat. My friend Lance, who drove there from Baraboo, he started in Baraboo and drove all the way. They should be there around noon, so we're going to hopefully meet them probably later than noon, because I think it's about 2 hours drive there. We got to stop at a store and pick up some goodies. So,
well, I'm glad you're safe, and you probably made the biggest find of of what
you'd be proud of me.
Yeah. Tell us about
my Norwegian heritage. Well, I was on the plane and I looked down, and this is, those commercials, you're becoming your parents.
Yeah.
I'm becoming you, because you would always look around, you'd go somewhere on a trip, maybe a vacation with us and stuff, and spend lots of money, but spend more than what you'd find on the concrete, and you'd be so happy. You'd just be smiling when you'd find a penny, or in this case, a dime.
Yeah.
So I told Dimitri that I got a cheaper ticket, 10 cents cheaper ticket. So
that's the way you think about it. Sometimes I'll make a couple $1,000s in a day or something like that doing voiceover, but mom and I will be out walking and I'll find a quarter, and that makes me more excited than the $2,000, because all I had to do was bend over and pick it up, and somebody just either lost it or decided that it wasn't worth it. It's always worth it to me to bend over. Plus it's a little extra. I figure it's a little exercise. I'm working out on top of that. There's just so many good reasons. I'm not littering. I don't want that to be litter. There's just so many good reasons to stop and pick up money. Anyway, we won't take much more time because hopefully you'll have, a camera
more
or some pictures, or we'll check in a couple more times. And this will be, we'll put this together as a photo collage, a travel log of some.
I've got memories, Johnny.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're safe.
Going to be on.
I'm hoping that Friday, John and I can do an update. We'll do a Zoom update, and so it'll be kind of the the original father-son voiceover podcast Zoom edition. Yeah, sure. But it'll be fun to check in, and I'm sure people will appreciate it, and we'll have our numbers and such, and I'll have my tips about being an expert and stuff like that just from here down in the studio. So be safe, maybe, get a little sleep, and we'll check in with you hopefully as soon as we can.
I will, after this trip, I will be a travel expert. So if anybody needs help traveling, I'll be the person to come to.
There you go.
So thanks for taking the time, Dad.
Yep. Talk to you soon. Be safe.
Yeah. Love you.
Bye. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Hey. How we doing?
How are you?
You look like this? Did you just get that?
Yeah, I just did.
I like it. Yeah.
I look like every other tourist around.
And you need it.
Yes, I needed it. I
couldn't live without it.
So here we are. Hudson is at Zion National Park, and it is a Thursday evening. It's 7:16 here near Madison, Wisconsin, and it's 6:16 there. Do you have to be walking away, or can you just stand there? Because I think
that's
beautiful.
Yeah, that's our campsite is right there, and that's in our backyard, and that's in our backyard. So it's just all around us. So
give us a little bit more, just a real quick slow panoramic view, if you can, of those mountains.
Sure. Yeah.
And then
it's a little bit tough to see right now.
Yeah.
Let me get out here a little ways. I was just trying to get away from the campsite a little bit so I could focus and not have to be around everybody, so they don't have to deal with it. So that's just
that's beautiful.
Quite the deal. Yeah.
So now the last time we checked in with you, you were in Las Vegas at the airport, and you've had a few days there, and you've done quite a bit of hiking. Today you went to Angel's Landing. Is that?
So there's kind of, so what we did was there's like a trail that goes up that meets up with Angel's Landing. And that's kind of there's two big, like the main attractions here at Zion. One is the Narrows. It's a river. You do you wade through it, and it's between two kind of mountains on each side. We haven't done that yet. We're probably going to do that tomorrow. But today, yes, we went up to Angel's Landing. And the problem with that is there's like one last part that's about probably a quarter of a mile hike. And it's got chains for balance because it gets a little bit thin up there. And so you have to apply for a permit just because they don't want so much traffic up there.
Yeah.
And that's actually just started this year. So you have to apply the night before. It's kind of like a lottery. So we didn't win it. So we couldn't do it. So, but that was fine. Whatever. We got to go up the other side, which is called East Rim, and that's about as high. And just absolutely amazing views just down the valleys. We were like, I don't know exactly what it is. It's at least 5,000 feet in elevation. And the hike, we ascended 1,600 feet. So it was quite tiring, and we're beat, but it was fun. It was just some jaw-dropping, stunning views. So
some of the places in the United States, like back, 20 years ago, I think we took the family to the Grand Canyon, and you stand there and look at it and walk around, and you just like, what am I supposed to do with this? I mean, it's like you look at it and it's just awe-inspiring. And there's another place in the United States just like that, and there's places like that all over, the world.
And it was like you said, it was just like when we were first driving through the mountains and we got here, it's like everywhere you look, the mountains are different looking, but it's just huge. And it's like, is this real? Because in Wisconsin, we don't have mountains, we have bluffs, and they're not that big.
Yeah.
So it's just impressive. Very impressive. Very beautiful. It's all like red too. So it's the desert out here. So I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. So no, you're going to be there yet today, and then all day tomorrow, and then you're going to be traveling home on Saturday, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So probably be home sometime late Sunday morning, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning.
Yeah. And maybe we'll touch base with you one more time while you're there. But let me just ask you, we wanted to keep this fairly short, but let me just ask you a couple of questions. Have you had any voiceover inquiries while you've been here? been there?
I haven't had one, and I'm not sure if that's because maybe reception, they sleep. I've been checking my emails, so nothing. But I also sent out of office notices, out of studio notices. So hopefully those hit home for people and they know, hey, not to send anything. But I haven't had anything on Fiverr. A couple weeks ago, I decided to do a promoted gig to see if that would help me get out of the doghouse and maybe get some more traction and stuff like that. So I turned that off, and I haven't had anything on Fiverr yet. So it's just been really nice to not have to, deal with that so much, where it's like, I gotta go find some place that has reception. So, we go out for a hike in the morning and we're not back till 3:30, 4 o'clock. So it's like, if somebody got a hold of me, I won't know until later. So
yeah. One quick thing I was thinking about, Ann, your buddy Lance has a conversion van there that he's able to sleep in and stuff. I was thinking, wouldn't that be fun to be able to trick that out and have like a studio in there, and then you could just travel around, and if you could find a hot spot or something, you could do voiceover from places like that. That'd be kind of fun, wouldn't it? Where you could hike during the day and maybe do some work. I think some people do that, but I don't know how quiet.
There's a lot of mobile rigs that they have here, whether they're real nice ones, like they're an actual camper, or they're like those other, like the Mercedes ones, like the Transit and stuff like that, where they have, like Lance has done, they've built like a bed frame, other things in there so that they can kind of live out of it. So it's kind of a camper lifestyle, I think it's kind of its own world. Yeah. So, and I'm not obviously that far into it. I've only been camping for a year. So
yeah. Well, thanks for taking time. We'll let you get back to your beautiful scenery and all the other stuff, probably supper and stuff like that.
How are we doing?
How's the world traveling sun? The world traveling sun, or at least out west.
I'm very tired.
Yeah.
We did the Narrows today. So yesterday we did our most intense hike, which was up close to Angel's Landing, the east rim or west rim. And then today we did the Narrows. We got waders, boots, stuff like that, and we walked a long ways. So
it's all through water, or most of it, huh?
Yeah, some of it's like, up to here.
Wow.
A lot of it's down to here and stuff like that. But there's lots of rocks, so you're maneuvering. So
and how long did it take from start to finish? How long were you trekking?
Boy, we left today at 11.
Okay.
And we got there at 11 to start walking, and then let's see here, started at 11, and we get done at like, what time is it right now? Probably like 4 we got done, and then we got on the shuttles, and so.
And the Narrows, Mom and I looked at the Narrows, and there's some spots where it's like between 20 and 30 feet wide, but 2,000 feet high.
That makes sense. I mean, I don't, you see the cliffs and stuff like that, or the huge rock walls, and it's pretty impressive. So let me see if I can, is that better for you? Can you see me fine?
Yeah, it looks good. Okay. And we're doing this last Zoom call with Hudson on the original father-son voiceover podcast here. He's out in Zion National Park, and this is we're doing it a little earlier than we have. It's 5:30 your time, and it looks much kind of brighter there and sunnier, and it looks almost and this is your last night at base camp, huh?
It sure is, yeah. Our home away from home. So we are gonna do some sort of like tinfoil packets that have food in them. I don't know exactly what they are, but Lance and his daughters are gonna make it and stuff like that. So looking forward to that, and hopefully get some decent sleep. And then tomorrow it's gonna be lots of traveling, 3 hours back to the Las Vegas airport, and 3.5 hours in the plane, and then 3.5 hours home to Baraboo, which is 40 minutes from home, and then 40 more minutes home after that.
And hopefully you'll get home safe and everything. And next week when we do our podcast, you can wear that hat. And
sure.
You're bringing souvenirs. You're bringing souvenirs home for us.
They might not be with me because I'd have to pay for an extra bag, and I'm cheap. So I'll probably have Lance bring them home
with Lance. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Well, we can always do it the next week or something.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else going on that we need to tell people just before we close up this interview section and go on to our numbers for this week?
Not really. If you get a chance, here's a commercial for Zion National Park. If you ever get a chance to come out here to Utah, do it. It's quite the place. So
a little bit of a bittersweet, kind of a bittersweet night, just because you're going to be done in that beautiful area, and then you've got all that traveling to do. That isn't always the most fun, but
yeah, when we get to Baraboo or when I get home, I'll be quite.
You're kind of slowing up there on your internet.
Any better?
No, you're sort of.
I
don't know why. I don't know why it just lost it, but now you're better.
Well, anyway, yeah. When I get home, I'll be happy because it's just a lot of things in a row that we have to do, and is what it is. So I'm ready to be home.
We've missed having you around, and we've missed having you be the executive producer, because Demond and I have been, I've been down here doing stuff today. John and I did stuff. Demond, we have to kind of direct him, and he does such a great job, but he also kind of looks for that executive directorship. So you'll be back in the director's chair next week, and just doing voiceover and editing and laying down the law. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Getting everybody in the line.
Yeah. Well, again, thanks a lot for these. I know it hasn't been always the easiest to try to find time for you, and taking a little time out to share your trip. It's been fun, been different. I don't know if we'll ever have a podcast like this, but it was fun to do it this time. And I told the folks, I told them that we're going to have the couch potatoes back and the couch cam and try to do something fun next week.
All right.
Well,
hopefully I'm there safe and we can do that. So
sounds good. Well, have a good rest of your late afternoon, evening, and sleep tight. And we hope to see you late tomorrow night or early Sunday.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Dad. Appreciate the work you guys are doing.
You bet. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, everybody. It's Hudson here. I'm in Zion National Park. Mountains right behind me. And you're listening to the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast. Now back to more.
Hey, John. Thanks. Hey, you look great. Thanks for joining us for the kind of special edition of the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast. I guess it's just you and I being the father-son this time.
Yep. I guess I still count.
Yeah, I guess Hudson hasn't squeezed you out yet. And I can see the board back there at VOMP headquarters. Yep. You got the two boards there. Yeah. Names of people and keeping track of their warm replies and how many, how many emails they get sent out and what category they're in and all sorts of stuff. Yep. How many jobs they book. Yeah. Good. So how was the week? We don't have a ton of time here, but sure. Or maybe you had some other things you wanted to talk about. I didn't know if there was some specifics, some highlights of the week.
I'll just start off with the numbers. And then from that, I think I might have a couple things to share. So we had 25 warm responses.
25. Okay, great.
And we had 6 auditions.
Nice.
And then we had 6 jobs. That does not include yours and Hudson's, obviously. But
Hudson didn't have any jobs, but I had 2 new clients. So what's that, 8 total?
Yeah, 8 total. And Noel got a job, and Randy Scott both of them booked jobs from previous clients, which that's always great news.
Yes.
The gift that keeps on giving. And Bill DeWees got one. William Dugan got one. Jennifer Keister and Todd Haskell. So
Nice.
Spreading the wealth there. That's always nice to see different people get it. The warm responses are good, but it's always nice to see that even if the warm responses fluctuate a bit as the weeks go by, that, it's nice to see when we get some of those or get jobs still, and when they're jobs that are returning. So that's what I like seeing. So.
Yeah, just one little thing about my, it was the second job I booked. My assistant, Andy, said just a little tidbit about this media company. He said this, and I'm quoting, they were originally a May 2016 contact. They replied positively for the first time in May of 2019. I did an audition. I didn't win it. And now in May of 2022, they became a client. So not only has it been, he said, perfect 3-year increments, but also an example of persistence paying off. So
yeah,
I thought that was just a good thing.
Yeah, Joe and I are seeing that too. We get some warm replies. Just because you're not getting them back that day or even like in that week, we're seeing times where people that have been with us, especially for a while, are getting something that comes back from January of this year, or
Yep.
even earlier than that. And so, you might not see it now, but that's the beauty of email marketing, is that there's lots of people that do keep your contact and they do reach out to you. So don't lose heart, if you will, that there's opportunities that are sitting out there and you don't even know it. So
yeah, sometimes they don't even feed back. Sometimes, like you said,
Correct.
It's not even a warm reply. So they're just sitting out there. You think maybe they've been deleted or forgotten, which a lot of them are, but there are some stray ones out there in a folder, and they say, hey, here's a voice that I think will match, or here's one I'm going to send out with a few auditions with some other, possible VO talent. And what do you know? You get a job out of it, or an audition or something. So that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will just say one interesting thing. We do get a lot of nice warm responses from the emails that your assistant Andy sends out. That's
for the voice roster, right? You mean for the voice roster?
Yep,
yeah.
For the voice roster. And I just want to share one that we received this week. And it said, this is quoting the person, "Thanks for getting connected!" !
Mm-hmm.
We have projects that pop up here and there, and you have a ton of great talent on this. Looking forward to using your services in the future.
Yeah.
And so we obviously follow up with those people, just like you should, with your warm responses and the like. And so we're trying to stay top of mind, because these people are fickle, but that's a good response, and we'll make sure that we stay on top of that, so that we can, so that like he said, use or have the great talent that's on there be used. So
yeah,
it's great. So.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're sending out stuff on behalf of our roster, and soon Drew's going to be making cold calls again, and we're building out our website and things like that. So lots of good things happening. Glad for the progress that we're making. You mind just hanging around while I tell you about mine, or did you have something else?
Nope. I don't think so. Maybe maybe something come to mind.
Yeah, if you think of something.
Yeah.
So I had 2 auditions and 3 warm replies and 2 new clients, as I said earlier. My platforms were down a little bit. Most platforms I report are just Fiverr. And so it was only $1,055 this week, which, it's usually closer to, I don't know, what is it? 25, 3 to 2,000, 3,000, something like that. And then direct email marketing was $4,199.28. Before I tell you the total, I did have another session with that national client that I booked. I still can't tell you about it because it's not public. And so I haven't put that into my total. That could jump it up to, closer to the $7,000 mark if we're all done with all of our sessions, which I think we are. But I'll let you know. But I won't be able to report it this week because I'm not 100% sure. So my total
And
this week.
This would be your first national commercial.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Right.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. So my total this week, if you don't count that, because it'll probably be in another week coming up, is $5,254.28. $5,254.28. But I do have to say this, and I think you knew about this, that I booked the largest paying client that I've ever had. And I can't tell you the specs about that, but it's by far the largest single paying client that I've had. It's 4 30-second commercials that are going to be on the web for a couple of years, and then they're going to be regional commercials. And so I'll tell you more about that. And that, if I do that all in 1 week, it's going to jump my weekly up to a lot. So that's kind of fun. So I'll tell more about that coming up in the days, probably just the days to come, probably next week or maybe the week after. So any other thoughts?
No, I mean, I said in the Friday update, along with the roster, like I said, with regards to Andy's feedback, that, we're just grateful for everyone that's on part of VOMP. We think we have great talent, not only on the roster, but also with the people that we direct email market for. So appreciate you being a part of it. And we look forward to more good stuff coming our way.
Yeah. So this week we had kind of an unusual, Hudson was out at Zion National Park. He's going to be heading back home tomorrow. And so we didn't have you and Drew on the couch cam, the couch potatoes, but hopefully next week, everything will be back to normal. We'll be up in the studio and people can join us for some fun. We're going to plan some fun things for that last part. So we'll get ready to goof off just a little bit. So
handle that.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have. So next week, as I said, everything should be about the same as it has been. We'll be back in our regular studio and such with our regular cast of characters. So join us for another episode of the original Father-Son Voiceover podcast then. Take care.